I saw this one trend that was everybody was giving so much of themselves to the world. And when they got back home, they were kind of, I don't know if I can say a piece of shit.
For me, I was a workaholic. I was always going, and I never gave time for myself. And in that time, I realized how much wiser I was and how many better decisions I made because I slowed down and like listened to myself. And it took a little while. Like first I just had to relax. I mean, like some of us don't even do that. You know, like maybe you give yourself a massage once a month and people don't even do that. Right. I mean, just so many things. It's also part of recovery, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
And you need to do that every day. If you bought a phone and you get a brand new phone or whatever, and then you never charge it, it doesn't matter how new the phone is or how awesome it is. It will only last about a day.
Yeah. It will never reach its full potential, right? Of all the things it has to offer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love what you said in terms of, I think, and it's a big thing that we talk about with our community too, is giving yourself permission and going to the root of why am I having such a hard time to give myself permission to just not be productive today, you know, and just tune in and see how am I feeling, or not even doing that, you know, just being in pause. There's so much power in the pause, right? There's so much to do with the pause too.
It's so amazing. And even just picking on that word productive, you know, it's an oxymoron, right? Like you feel like if I'm being mindful or I'm meditating or I'm not doing anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I even talk with my kids about that. Like, oh, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm like, well, how are you doing nothing? Explain that to me. You know, and then we talk about, oh, you're sitting there. Oh, that's something. Oh, you're breathing right now. That's something. You know, just getting them into that there's no such thing as bored, really. Like if you actually focus your energy. And the whole point that I wanted to just quickly make is I have found so much productivity in the stillness because I come back to work. And this is one of our goals. I don't know if I told you, our mission is to have all companies work less than 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's not about time. We've gotten so much into hourly wages and what are you worth per hour, and even what are you worth? What's your net worth goes right to financial, which is all really not true because what our worth should not be measured on money or time. Mm-hmm. And this is my belief, right? And that if you actually do this, the more, and I've worked with CEOs and I get them to take time off and then, and get them to start breaking their work week down into a more reasonable area where they can fully recover and have time for themselves and bring the mindfulness in. And then this is what happens, Leticia. They go, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, Steve, it's amazing. I'm making better decisions. The company's revenue's up because I did this and this. I would have never thought of that if I didn't take that vacation. And I came back to all these new ideas and and it goes on. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So what do you think about having all your staff have this experience? Yeah. And then it goes like, oh, I get it. Right. Like those that are wise enough to it, they get it. And, you know, more hours does not equal more productivity. Doing things does not equal more productivity. And we're just picking on this word, but I find it very, like I will not do it. Even this morning, I don't even know why I turned my phone on, but I keep it on airplane mode my whole morning. And then I had to check something and it was offline. So I turned it on and then there was a message and it was like, oh, can you make this meeting? And then like in the old days, I would have like, oh, I better grab that. But I put my phone back on airplane mode. I did my whole thing. And then everything worked out. Like when I finally came out of my meditation, turned my phone on, they're like, oh, we figured it out. And I would have like interrupted my whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I wouldn't have been as present with you on this podcast or whatever else I needed to do today, you know? So I just put extra effort. That's like why you and I hit it off, because this is what I found to be true. And I know you have as well. So I guess I'm curious because I like to break this down to help those that have not. So those people that are listening to this and they've experienced this, they're going, yeah, I know what you mean. But there's gonna be a lot of people listening to this. They're like, what the hell are they talking about? How do you achieve this? I could never have time to meditate. Are you crazy? What's like a first step? Like how can someone, you know, that's listening to this right now, like just add a bit of mindfulness into their life?
Yes. Well, first, I love the work you do. I love that you are reaching to CEOs and executive leaders because I feel they hold so much power to make that change that we are all needing so much,
Right.
right? I think we've been looking for answers from healers and, you know, uh, people that are in the mindfulness space for a long time, but I think it lies in the feet of executive leaders as much as healers to make that shift in the world. So absolutely love the work you do.
Thank you for noticing. So
Of
back to
course.
the question.
Yes.
So I'm looking for those small moments, like those first steps, because we all have to take,
Yes,
actually, you
we
know what,
do.
let's bring it back to a personal moment first. What was your first step? I mean, were you always this mindful? Like you were meditating when you were born or what?
No, I wish we can do that. Probably yes, honestly, nowadays.
Maybe if you were
But
born to a monk and, parents that
right.
were meditating and, they had
Yeah.
you in a meditation.
Yeah, totally. No, but I can definitely share when was a pivot moment for me. And then I can share a way that we found to make it more digestible for people if they're thinking what should be the first step. I can share a little bit about that as well. But for myself, and I feel like half of the world will identify with me. It's been like I've always been a big planner and I'm planning everything. I know exactly how my life is going to be and I know what the next step should be. Of course, there's uncertainty and all of that, but I have that plan in my head, right? And I am accomplishing. I'm not saying like I'm super successful, but like the next thing, great, I got the job that I wanted, in foreign affairs. And then I'm like, seeing like the behaviors and the routines and how people because I always wanted an impact job. I always was like, I want to be someone that's going to make a difference in someone else's life. It doesn't need to be millions of people, but people that I directly work with or that I serve. I want them to have their lives a little bit better because I had the job that I had. So that was my plan, right? I need to live a life according to that. And as a context, I'm Brazilian, so I don't know if like being in a country that is full with diversity, and different realities and injustices, maybe that influenced me a little bit. I don't know. But as in my pursuit of impact, either it was working with embassies, with big corporations or big impact movements, I saw this one trend that was everybody was giving so much of themselves to the world. And when they got back home, they were kind of, I don't know if I can say a piece of shit. They were straight up not treating their family, their coworkers, their community as well as they were treating everybody else. Let's suppose the population that they were supposed to create impact for. And for me, that was so hard to understand. I was like, wow, it's like taking one step forward and two steps back, right? You are wanting to create impact, you're trying to serve other people, but back home, you first are your worst boss. You're not treating yourself with love and compassion and empathy like you do with everybody else. And the people closest to you are the ones that are suffering too, because you're so exhausted.
Right.
You're so frustrated, exhausted, burned out. And definitely, we all know, we probably have small stories that people closest to us are the ones that suffer, right, from it. So I started seeing that it doesn't matter how impactful your job is, your organization is, if you are continue to be your own worst boss and your family's or closest friends worst friend, it's not gonna, the change that you want to see in the world is not gonna happen. You can't not pour from an empty cup. We say that a lot. And so it's hard for you if you're like exhausting all your energy to just be that thriving person, that compassionate person, that empathetic person with everybody. So you need to take care of yourself.
Hey there, I want to give you something really big. It's called Clear Path to Customers. It's the way that we get the right language to get the right client. I like to call them your wow clients so that you can have more results, more revenue, more raving fans, and more referrals. And I want to give this to you absolutely free. And all you have to do is go to stevenapolitan.com to check it out, or you can look at the description here. We'll put the details there. As always, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom.